Hello, welcome. Pull up a chair, grab your favorite beverage, coffee, tea, water, and join us for a conversation from my heart to yours. My guest this time is Angel Mom Michelle Pepin.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining me. So, Michelle has joined us before and shared about her son Ian, and we got to know Ian then.
Yes.
So, show us Ian.
Here's Ian. Ian Nelson. Birth date August 4th, 1991. Forever 26.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing Ian with us. And last time, Michelle, we got to know you a little bit better about what you're doing in what we call the after, finding our purpose in our grief. And you have started picking up the pieces, is your
Yes.
group. So, can you tell us a little bit about it and what it does?
Sure. Picking up the pieces, I started actually in memory of Ian. And it started off to be a place where parents can come to share their grief. And then it just opened itself up to me serving people with addiction needs, finding resources for them, getting to know them, getting to know what it is they need, their histories and everything. So we do a lot. We have groups. We like to get them acclimated back into society after they go through their recovery. They get their services that they need. They go through detox. They go through a rehabilitation program. That's one aspect of picking up the pieces.
So, you're based out of Florida.
Yes.
So, is it local to your area or where, how big of an area do you cover for that type of resource?
Okay. We're located in Ocala, Florida, which is Marion County, but we do serve Alachua County and Citrus County also. Wherever somebody needs help, they can contact me. Even if they live on the Panhandle, they can contact me and I can get them services in that area. Or if they want to come down to our area for services, we can do that too. It's basically networking with other providers, and we have a lot of providers. So we always have the ability to find help, whether they have insurance or if they're in need of services, sliding scale, or we can actually get donations for, rehabilitation services for them. There's always a family that wants to give back and their costs are covered, which is a good thing.
That's phenomenal because it gets very costly, and sometimes that's a barrier for somebody seeking help.
Definitely.
In recovery is if they don't have insurance or they don't have the cost to cover what insurance doesn't cover. And that's a huge barrier. So picking up the pieces helps navigate that path.
Yes. And we actually have a lot of services that gear towards helping people with the cost of it. There are some companies, and I like to say chain companies, that they're really not in our area, but they're down Miami and things like this, and they try to get clients. They try to rope them into something that really isn't good for them. There are some recovery homes that take advantage of people when they get out of a program and they need a place to stay. And it's been cleaned up quite a bit. There's people that I know the show Intervention, okay? They're body brokers. Not the show itself, but there's people that are body brokers that look for people that fail after the first time in recovery, people that are going back multiple times. So they approach these people and they want to give them money. Well, if I give you so much money here, can you get some friends to go into this sober living home so we can bill the insurance? And whether they leave or not, that's up to them. But as long as we get them in there the first time, and it's like a cycle. It used to be really,
That's interesting you brought that up because I wasn't aware of that whole um that whole I can't think of the word till about a year ago.
Mhm.
And I realized that. And then some of the moms that I've gotten to know, it's their child fell into that. And then it's an awful, awful thing. And it's not talked about.
No,
There's few, there seems to be some accountability now legally where we've seen like some of the bad people now being held accountable, going to jail. But is that still going on?
some of it is still going on, but not in this area. It's more or less in the big cities. New York City, Miami, they have a problem with it. But like you said, they've cleaned it up quite a bit, which it's a good thing because these people, their intentions were to make promises that they never intended on keeping. And these people's lives depended on it. And a lot of people's lives have been lost in sober living homes. You know, um, it's just a sad situation, all in all. Where now another part that I do, some people might not like it. Now, I'm a mother of loss, and I wish they had something like this for my kids, and it's harm reduction. And it's basically keeping people safe until they're ready for getting help themselves. You can't push an addict to get help. They have to want it. They have to be ready. So what I do is keep them safe. It's complicated.
So harm reduction, and that was another topic I wanted to talk to you about
Mhm.
because I know there's falsehoods and myths associated with harm reduction.
Definitely.
Can you share both aspects of it? Like,
Sure.
what is harm reduction? What does it entail? And what is the misconception associated with it?
Okay. So harm reduction basically is a set of policies and procedures that allow individuals to mitigate the risks associated with their use, their substance use. There's respect given to people in harm reduction. We want them to respect themselves, whereas we give them respect. We meet people, as I said, where they're at in their addiction. We want to keep them safe with, we don't push drugs. That's not the thing. It's easier for me to explain it like this. Harm
Okay.
reduction isn't just for drug use. It's in everyday life. A seatbelt is harm reduction. It's so you don't go through the windshield if there's an accident. Condoms, harm reduction, so somebody doesn't get pregnant or get a sexually transmitted disease. So when people hear harm reduction, they immediately think, oh, all you're going to do is you're going to give them drugs, you're going to
Uh,
give them packets
they,
of
they,
syringes.
I think people think it's enabling.
Correct. It's not enabling. It's okay. And I took notes on this because I get very, very worked up about this because it's a passion of mine. Now, okay. What we do when a person comes to me and they tell me that they're not ready to go into recovery yet, but they have a substance use issue. They come to me and they ask me to help them. So we sit down, we get a history. How old were you when you started using drugs? What is your drug of choice? Have you had any trauma in your life? The majority of the time, always trauma, always trauma. So after we talk about that, we get a game plan worked out for them. They get, the rule is every dirty syringe you bring to me, I give you a clean one. So if somebody turns in 10 dirty syringes to me, I give them a package of clean syringes. I also give them purified water. I give them condoms. I give them, there's a problem with this, they're saying, but I give them fentanyl test strips. I want to make sure they know what they're doing. The majority of the time, people aren't looking for fentanyl. There are some people who like fentanyl, but the majority of them don't want fentanyl. I also give them a hygiene kit. Now, when they come back to me, everything's recorded. We keep data on every person. After the third time they come back to me, I show them how many syringes they've turned into me, and I'll ask them, these are syringes that you've used. Yes, you haven't gotten them from anybody else. No. Well, this is the amount that you're turning into me right now. This is how much you're using. A lot of times they don't realize that they're using that much. So it puts the idea in their head, wow, that's how much I'm using. It starts the wheels turning where they're not going to use as much. And I can honestly tell you, every person that I have helped with harm reduction has either cut down their usage a lot or have seek treatment, which is what my plan was for them. I want them in treatment. They've realized they need to address this issue. They need to get back in the graces of their family. They need their life back. So when people say, oh, they're just a bunch of junkies, they're never going to stop using, they do stop using. They're not junkies, they're sick. Okay, it's a disease.
And you really explain that clearly, because I didn't have an understanding of harm reduction probably until a year ago through you, harm reduction. And because I always heard the stereotype that went with it. You're enabling them. You're enabling them. You're not enabling them. You're just giving the tools for them to get through the day.
Exactly. And
And that way, when they want, you're there with the help when they're ready. Because when you think about it, if you didn't, just the infections alone, and like you said, you're giving them the information, and that way when they're ready, and then you're giving them the insight like, hey, this is how many needles you turned in. It's helping them in ways that the stigma is not helping them. You're not shaming them.
No. And for every one person I see, 5 more come back to me because of that person. We keep the streets clean, okay, because they're bringing me their dirty syringes. I take full responsibility for them. Okay, we're cleaning up playgrounds. We're not making the streets unsafe. When they see that they have a place to bring their dirty syringes, they start picking up the streets. These are people, some of these people live on the streets. And as they start coming to me, they start wanting to start looking for jobs. They want to look for places to live. We give them back their, what do I want to say? We
You're
give
giving
them
them
back
back dignity
dignity. And that's what
and
the full
hope.
intent is. Yes.
Dignity and hope. And I
And
think, and that's the problem with the stereotype and falsehoods associated with harm reduction.
I take care of the people nobody else wants to take care of.
Mm.
And I'm blessed by doing that because I have met so many loving people that share their stories with me, and they're heartbreaking stories. But they trust me. They know they can come to me with anything, and I'm there for them. I answer my phone 24/7. And that was a promise I made going into this. And some people said, oh, you're giving too much of yourself. I lost my son. I don't want somebody else to go through that. So I'm taking care of somebody else's child until that child is ready to go in for recovery themselves. And I stay with them through the whole process. That's something that I enjoy doing. I see their growth. And they come back to me as volunteers, and they come back to do what I do. So I've done my job. I've pulled somebody else out of a pit, so they can pull somebody else out of a pit.
And that's what you're doing is you everybody you meet is someone. And then when they have, when the disease has taken everything from them, including their family, you're reminding them that they matter
Yes.
because they do matter. And it's so easy to drive by, keep walking, not look at somebody. It's so easy to cast judgment, but everybody has a story. So you've opened your heart to listening to these stories and what you're doing. So it doesn't go unnoticed. It doesn't go
No,
unnoticed. And I'm glad it comes back to you in different ways. And
I
I
love that.
know you have made um, Ian and the many people you have saved so proud.
Thank you.
So proud. And I know there's not everybody on the streets, not everybody uses needles either,
Right.
you know?
We, it's education too.
Hmm.
I go out into homeless camps and I educate them on the drugs that are going around. Some of them, like you said, don't use drugs. Some of them are paired up with somebody that does. They'll all get Narcan. I teach them the difference between the real pills and the fake pills. Just say no. Unless it comes from a doctor, don't touch it. But it's the education that goes with it, because I find that when I educate somebody on something, somebody will come up to me and say, well, so-and-so told me last week that you told them this and they told me that. So it gets around, which is the great thing. And they take care of each other. People have a lot to say about homeless people, but they look out for each other because they have nobody else. And I love working in that environment. I'm not afraid to work in that environment. I know I have somebody that watches my back from the camp. It's just nice to get in there and hear their stories. And they look at me like I'm family, which is a privilege for me. They let me into their world when they don't like letting anybody in. So we have a bond, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And like I said, there's a lot of blowback from it. I've had people write me some very nasty things. But you have to think, would you want your child coming to me, for care? Because I would give it to them. I would make sure they were safe, and I would guide them in that direction. Don't look at me like I'm a bad person. I'm not.
Well, I think with what you're doing in your advocacy comes with education. So the blowback a lot of times is lack of education,
Right.
or if somebody wants to disagree with what you're doing, that's on them. That's on them, you know? And I know you personally, and I know you take it personally, but for every bad apple out there, you got 10 good apples out there.
Definitely.
And you're making a difference. So when there's breath, there's hope, and however they're going to get, like grief is not linear. You can't go from A to B in a straight line. Recovery is the same way. You just can't go from A to B in a straight line. And we know so many of our children that passed, recovery wasn't that simple, you know? And it's sending the message and the education that addiction is a disease, substance use disorder is a disease. It's treatable. It's very, very treatable. But to get there, it's not A to B. It's a
No.
process. I know with Ryan, he was told one time when he was in recovery that it would take 2 years for his brain to reprocess itself away from the addictive behavior, his tendencies, 2 years. And that's really hard to tell somebody who's in active addiction, give yourself 2 years. It's
Right. 2 years
really,
is a
really
lifetime
hard.
for them.
It's a lifetime. 2 days is a lifetime, but there's hope. There's hope, and you give hope to what you do.
Thank you.
So I'd also like to hear about, you have upcoming events.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, August 31st, in downtown Ocala on the square from 6 to 8. It's International Overdose Awareness Day. We're going to have a walk. We're going to have banners. We're going to remember the ones that we lost. We'll have speakers, and we want to light the square up purple. We're also trying to get a proclamation and have the flags flown at half mast, which would be good. Now, the big event, which you're going to be at too, is the Ocala's 5th annual Recovery Festival. It's on Saturday, September 10th from 10 to 2. I want everybody out there. It's a great time. We have providers coming out. We have moms coming out, everything. There's face painting for kids. There's going to be ponies there. We have speakers. We have people.
I want to go on a pony ride.
Yes. We have people that are new in recovery. We have people that are older in recovery. It's people that have survived this drug epidemic. And basically, it's a day to give back and remember also the ones we lost, but remember the ones that are there too. They've come a long way. And it's nice to see it every year because it grows. The people that we get out there, people that come and say, you know, I was here last year, but I was using when I came, and I stopped using after I left because I got to meet people. And that's what you want to hear. So those are the events that we have.
Are they free and open
Free,
to the public?
yes. Free and open to the public. Thank you for
Okay.
reminding me. I always forget that. But yes, it's free. But you're going to meet a bunch of great people out there.
And I have to say, from personal experience, last year, I was a vendor for the Ocala Recovery Fest. So as I was representing the From Project, my life is in the after, you know, dealing and helping grieving parents who've lost a child. So that was my first exposure to people in recovery. And I was humbled. I had people that came up to me that had survived fentanyl overdoses. I was shocked. And, you know, sometimes like we're in the trap of what you say and what you shouldn't say to a grieving mom. Well, I'm sure what I said to these people in recovery was when they told me that they had overdosed on fentanyl, I said, oh my God, I thought you'd be dead. Because that was my belief, was that you would die instantly from fentanyl. Since then, I have learned and educated myself more about fentanyl. And through that, but the people that I met, they changed my life. They really did. They changed my life. I went from A to B just with my son, and I really don't talk to people in recovery. So, meeting the many people I did in recovery and the different groups, it was phenomenal. It was really, really phenomenal. And you did a great job. And I look forward to it this year.
Good.
So you'll be there, I'll be there. That's plenty of reason for people to go because we
Yes.
matter.
Come out, take pictures with us.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. We should do a little take pictures with us.
There you go.
Hey,
Meet and greet.
meet and greet. Well, we won't charge you though. We
Of
won't
course
charge
not.
you.
No.
No. So, and what's really good is you always do so much all year long. And like I said, Picking Up the Pieces is a nonprofit. And if you ever have any questions about where the money goes to, you just reach out to Michelle. She'll let you know. We are going to wrap up. So thank you again, especially for explaining harm reduction. I wanted people to hear about that. And if anybody has any questions or comments, just leave them down below and Michelle will get back to you.
Please, if you have any questions regarding harm reduction, any comments whatsoever, please leave them. I used to get upset. I don't take offense because people need to be educated in order for this to work.
Mhm.
Syringe exchanges are legal in the state of Florida, but it's up to the counties to allow it. Right now, the county I'm in, Marion County, it's not legal yet. They haven't passed it, but I
Okay.
do it. I take a big risk by doing it, but I believe in it. And that's how much I believe in it. They know that I do it. Nothing is ever said. And I'll say I have been stopped by police officers and asked me, what was in my car. And then they either see my shirt because they've heard of me, or they ask me what I do and I tell them, and I get a pass because I make their job easier. They tell me where people are and I go there. We get them out of that situation so the police don't have to deal with it. It's not that they're a burden. It's just the police actually want these people to get help.
Right.
So we work together in that.
And also, I forgot to say, you're a big advocate for Narcan, that
Yes.
everybody should carry Narcan.
Absolutely. If you need Narcan, reach out to me. I will give it to you. And if you live in Marion County, please, the state of Florida, please, your legislature, the legislature, push for Marion County to become legal for a syringe exchange. It would make our life a whole lot easier. And we can get a lot more out to people that need it.
So if you are interested in pursuing that, reach out to Michelle. She'll let you know who to contact
Sure.
and what to say. She'll guide you in the process.
Yep.
And like she said, if you need Narcan, reach out. She'll navigate you to where you need to go to get it, or she can help you out herself. But everybody should carry Narcan.
Definitely.
Multiple doses of Narcan. Because it's
Definitely.
better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And the life that you're saving is someone. Everybody matters to someone. And if not, we'll find somebody. We'll find somebody, but nobody's alone. So, like I said, thank you, Michelle Pepin, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you. You can find out more about the From Project on Facebook. It's a public page, or you can send an email to thefromproject@gmail.com. I'll have links to Michelle's information in the comments, so don't worry about that. And a reminder, you are not alone. And I'm sending you love, hugs, support, and compassion.
Yes. Oh, yes. Whoa, my heart.
From my heart to yours. And I am forever Ryan's mom. And I do this for him.
Yes. Beautiful boy.
And we'll catch you next time from My Heart to Yours conversation. So thank you for joining me. I love you.
Love you.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.